party people, Jay here with Carpe Pluma. Going to be talking to you today about the Visconti Divina Elegance. I've got a couple versions here. I've got the full size in Imperial Blue. I've got the midi size in Royal Brown. We're going to be taking a look at both of them, so let's go ahead and get started. Here are 5 things you may not know about the Visconti Divina Elegance. Number 1. It was inspired by Leonardo da Vinci, the Italian Renaissance, and the golden ratio of 1.618. Now, the ratio of the length of the cap to the pen in both the open and the closed positions is going to be equal to the golden ratio of 1.618. Now you're going to have to forgive me here. I'm going to have to do a little bit of reading. Mathematics is not my strong suit, but I want to pass along this bit of technical information. In mathematics, 2 quantities are in the golden ratio if their ratio is the same as the ratio of their sum to the larger of the 2 quantities. This is also known as the divine proportion. Straight from Wikipedia to you through me. Booyah. The golden ratio appears in some patterns in nature, including in the spiral arrangement of leaves and other plant patterns. It is very important in geometry, especially in the use of pentagrams and pentagons, and has been used to analyze all sorts of things from natural systems to financial markets with varying degrees of success. Last but not least, and perhaps most importantly, the golden ratio is said to transmit the key of beauty and knowledge. So there you go, 1.618, beauty and knowledge coming at ya, boom. It has a pentagon shape which is meant to represent the combination of the 4 elements, earth, air, fire, and water, into the 5th element, the divine. All right, number 3, the pen is enveloped by the golden spiral. I'm going to do another little bit of reading here, so feel free to tune out if this just makes your eyes glaze over. In geometry, a golden spiral is a logarithmic spiral whose growth factor is phi, that being the golden ratio. That is, a golden spiral gets wider by a factor of phi for every quarter turn it makes. The spiral shape also invokes the nautilus, which is another representation of the divine ratio. Number 4. For the pen body, all metal parts are made of silver, while the acrylic is blended with mother of pearl dust to give a truly elegant look. Number 5. In 2005, the collection was launched in association with the big blockbuster hit movie The Da Vinci Code, starring Tom Hanks. A version of the pen was given to Mr. Hanks. No word on how much he liked it, whether or not he uses it. If I ever meet him, I'll be sure to ask him and report back. One thing I did find a little bit strange about this is that the design of this pen has pretensions of lofty things. We've got the divine proportion, we've got the 4 elements giving birth to the 5th element, we've got, the analysis of mathematical systems, the golden spiral, the nautilus, all of these things that make you think of these sort of lofty academic intellectual ideals, and then you hang it all in the tent pole of this movie that is basically Mission Impossible with a Da Vinci twist. Don't get me wrong, it was a decent movie. If that's what you're into, for what it was, entertaining and all that. I don't mean to crap on the Da Vinci Code. I just thought it was kind of an odd pairing to take this, scientific, artistic, philosophical, inspired pen and then to put it in with this big piece of Hollywood popcorn, glitz, and glamour. Then I thought about it a little more, and I thought about the fact that if there is a pen that belongs on the red carpet, it's got to be this one, doesn't it? If there's a pen that evokes the glitz and glamour of Hollywood, the style perhaps over substance in some cases, maybe this is it. Maybe that's what they were going for. I don't really know. Like I said, it seemed like a strange choice to me, but I don't run any pen companies, so I might not know what I'm talking about. Just my 2 cents. Right, next we're going to be getting into a section I am calling the anatomy of a pen. We're going to take a look at the pen from top to bottom, from finial to end cap. So let's get into it, the anatomy of a pen. We're going to be taking a look at the full-size model in Imperial Blue, just because it's a bit bigger, so it's going to be a bit easier to see the details. So let's start out at the top. Let's take a look at the finial, see if I can get that to focus. Doesn't seem, there we go. All right, if you can see, it's got the Visconti logo on there. This is changeable. On a lot of Visconti's pens, they've got this system where you can get either your initials or your sign of the zodiac, or I believe maybe your birthstone, and they will send that to you on a little finial cap, and this is attached magnetically. It is very secure on there. I was a little afraid when I heard that it was magnetically attached. I was going to have to worry about this thing popping off and getting lost, but it's on there very securely. I couldn't get it off with my fingernails. Haven't tried with pliers or anything, but I guess if you participate in the system, you buy yourself a new little finial piece there, then they're going to send you a tool to remove that cap easily. So if that's something you're into, if you like personalizing your pens, that's an option. For me, I'm not really too concerned with the finial of my cap, so I'm not going to change mine, but it's nice to know that I have that option if I want to. Moving on from there, let's see, we've got the classic Visconti clip that they have on all their pens, that arch Visconti written on there. It is spring-loaded, so it's not a super stiff clip, but it doesn't feel flimsy. I'm just always a little nervous with spring-loaded clips that over time that spring is going to get used and used and used and has become less and less taut, going to have a looser and looser clip. But as far as I can tell, the clip is tight enough, so I don't want to invent any troubles before they come along. But it is a spring-loaded clip. Next we have got the cap, which has got that beautiful golden spiral design. That acrylic, I don't know if it's coming through in the video, but this has just got incredible depth. The pattern, when the light hits it, is just incredibly beautiful. It looks like a pool of water that you could dive into. It's just kind of like a giant icy blue candy cane that, I don't know, it's a very arresting look. Not much else to say about the cap, pretty traditional. We move down the cap, we've got a silver band directly beneath. It is pentagonal in shape, carrying on with the rest of the pen, and the spirals continue through that silver ring. Next we've got the body of the pen, which continues the golden spiral. More of that beautiful acrylic with the mother of pearl dust mixed in. Just an incredible look to it. And then, as I mentioned before, we have got the golden ratio between the cap and the pen in the open or closed position, which is kind of cool if you're into mathematics. It's a little bit confusing for me. I'm just going to have to take their word for it. But, kind of cool. Now, at the base of the pen, we have got a piston filler system here. That is just going to be pulled right out and turned clockwise. I'm going to go ahead and pull that out for you. I'm not going to turn it because the pen has ink in it and I don't want to shoot ink into my cap. We're going to lose focus when I do this, but let's see, up it comes, turns clockwise, and then goes right back down. This is not difficult to pull up, but again, it's not loose either. If I put the pen like this and shake it, that's not going anywhere. It's not like flimsy and going to be flopping around. I've never had a pen with this kind of filler system before. I wasn't sure if I was going to like it. I do like it. So maybe if you're unsure, give it a chance before writing it off if it seems a little bit iffy to you. I'm just used to having the piston filler system kind of hidden and incorporated into the bottom of the pen. This was a little bit different, but it works, and I like it. It's kind of a cool design. Little just piece of bling on there. So, all right, let's go ahead and take the cap off. One very nice thing about this pen is it's got the patented Visconti hook and lock system. If you can see right past the silver ring there, there's a set of grooves and ridges that create a sort of a hook pattern. Now, if you're not familiar with this system, what that basically means is that if the cap doesn't just go straight down and go on, it doesn't just go on and turn. It goes to this position here where it's resting, then you push down, turn, and up. And now it's not going anywhere, not coming off, not turning, etc. Real simple, push down, turn, and up to take it off, push down, turn, up to put it on. It's nice, you get the best of both worlds. You have got quick access, you don't have to turn quarter or a turn and a quarter or 2 turns or whatever most pens are to put the cap on or take it off. And then, of course, you don't have to worry about the cap popping off in your pocket like it could with the snap-on. So, kind of nice. Another nice thing to point out about the section here is that Visconti did not just put a plain black section on here. This is something that I honestly wish I saw more of, especially in pens in this price range, which is quite high. And that is, you know, so often I see such a beautiful, beautiful pen with this beautiful body, and then they get to the section and then it's just plain black plastic or plain metal. It's not a big deal, but the details are, you know, really what make the difference for me. And this is a nice detail that they have the mother of pearl pattern continuing on into the section. It's not quite as dramatic, certainly, but you can see that it's there. Then in terms of the shape of the section, it looks like it's got maybe a very slight hourglass shape to it, but not really worth speaking of. It's more or less cylindrical, but there is a slight pinching in near the top. Next we've got the nib, which says, let's see if I can get the light to hit it well. It says Visconti. It's got some nice little swirly patterns up around the top. It is a single tone nib, so that's pretty simple. Then down below it says 23K PD, 590, I believe, or no, 950, and that is denoting the 23K palladium nib. Let me read you a little something here about palladium. I'm doing a lot of reading this review. I apologize, but there's some sciencey stuff in here and I didn't feel like memorizing it. So palladium is a part of a group of elements referred to as the platinum group metals. These have similar chemical properties, but palladium has the lowest melting point and is the least dense of them. It is a rare and lustrous silver white metal discovered in 1803. When I first heard about palladium, I thought it was just sounded like something made up I had never heard of, that they were trying to pass off as something fine, but turns out it is actually nice. So I shouldn't assume the worst. 23K palladium Dream Touch nib, and then down below that it says Firenze, which I assume is where the nib was manufactured, and then B for broad. Now, if you've got a really good eye, you might have noticed that this pen doesn't exactly look like a broad, and that's because I took it and ground it down to a medium. I didn't have a ton of experience doing this, but I went very slowly, very carefully, testing constantly, and I achieved a result that I was very happy with. You know, this pen was actually a gift, and whenever I receive a pen for a gift, I always feel very strange about exchanging it or returning it. It's almost like I returned it and got something different, even if I get the same pen. So I didn't want to let anyone else work on this nib. It's almost like asking someone else to take care of your woman for you, or your man, etc. So for me, it's a very personal thing, and I ground this nib from a broad down to a medium. You can take a look at the filler system here, the feed system. I mean, pretty standard. Another look at the nib, look at that nice section, that beautiful body, piston filler system, and then we got the hook and lock with that cap and that finial up top. That's not going to focus again. It doesn't want to focus on this finial. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, that is the anatomy of a pen. Let's move on. Next, I'm going to be rating this pen on 3 different categories. Going to be rating them on looks, going to be rating it on feel, and then going to be rating it on bang for the buck. So let's go ahead and get started with looks. If you're not familiar with my system, my rating system, for 1 star, I have got Smurfette. She's beautiful, but she's 2 inches tall and she's blue. Wilma, 2 stars, again beautiful, little old-fashioned, 1,000 years old. Turanga Lila is going to be 3 stars. Again, a babe, but purple hair and 1 eye, so not quite perfect. And finally, the pinnacle of beauty, Betty Boop, 4 out of 4 stars. So what kind of a number do I give this pen? This is one of the easiest calls I've ever had to make in my long, long history of reviewing fountain pens. This is without a doubt a Betty Boop. This is a Betty Boop and a half. You know, there's some stars, or there's some pens that I might end up giving a rating of a Betty Boop to besides this pen, but this is like a resounding Betty Boop. This is not a home run. This is like a grand slam out of the park, you know, where you've got to fish the ball out of somebody's front seat because it broke through their windshield in the parking lot. This is a beautiful, beautiful pen. You know, the way the light hits it, you can see, or you can get an idea on the camera, you know, on the film, what it's going to look like in person. But I've just got to tell you, in person, this thing is like a jewel. You know, it's like it's just like a candy cane you want to take a bite of. It just is a fantastic looking pen. The way the spirals line up from the cap to the body, you can see with the hook and lock system, it's always going to be oriented the proper direction. The same thing when you post the pen, while it is rather long, with the pentagonal shape of the pen and the cap, it only posts in certain positions, and so the spirals are always going to be aligned. That combined with the attention to detail on the section, just combines to make this a really, really beautiful pen. If this pen had arrived and had not even had a nib on it, I probably still would have been happy with it because it's so beautiful. This is a functional piece of art. I will stop going on and on about it. This video is going to be incredibly long and not have much information because it's just going to be me saying how beautiful this pen is. So, last word, Betty Boop, resounding, boop boopy doop, 4 stars. All right, the next section we got is feel. We've got Kirk Van Houten at 1 star. Can I borrow a feeling? Drake, In My Feelings, 2 stars. James Brown, I Feel Good, 3 stars. And then finally 4 stars is going to be Nina Simone, Feeling Good. So what kind of a ranking do I give this pen? This is a little bit problematic because these 2 pens rate quite differently to my taste, to my feel. This pen is a little bit long. It's a little bit back heavy. Not uncomfortably so, not to the point where you don't want to write with it. It just, you know, in the $800 to $1,000 range, you're looking for things to be wrong with it. You're expecting just a perfect, perfect pen. And this feels a little bit back heavy in the hand. I do enjoy writing with it quite a bit. I like having different feels in my pens. I like to keep 6 or 7 pens inked, usually a couple mediums, a couple broads, a couple fines, you know, a couple thicker pens, a couple thinner pens, a couple heavier pens, a couple lighter pens. I like to keep it varied. So if I had a bunch of perfectly balanced, identical pens, that's not ideal for me. What I like more is having a bit of a different feel. So this is still is a very nice writer, still is very enjoyable to write with, but it is a little back heavy. So if you're very sensitive to a back heavy pen, or your hand gets tired easily, or, you know, any number of reasons, if this is the only pen that you buy, it's not going to be absolutely perfectly balanced. The nib rates very smooth. The Palladium Dream Touch nib was excellent. It was excellent as a broad. When I shaved it down, it was excellent as a medium. So in that sense, very good. Not a super wet pen. A bit on the dry side, but not to the point of skipping or hard starts or anything like that. So this, you know, this one here, would I give, wouldn't get a Nina Simone because of, wouldn't get 4 because of the length. Would it get a James Brown? You know, it would be between James Brown and Drake in my feelings, either a 2 or a 3, maybe a 2.5 out of 4 stars for feel. I kind of feel like I should take some of the stars, the extra stars that came in on looks, because it's honestly like 25 stars out of 4 on looks, and give some to the feel. But that's not how this system works. So 2.5 out of 4 stars, 3 out of 4 stars maybe on this pen. Now on this one, the MIDI version, which actually I'm not sure if it's even available before. I heard a rumor that it was going to be discontinued, and I did not see it on the Visconti site. So if you're looking for the MIDI size, maybe eBay's going to be your best bet, or getting one secondhand, or maybe just looking around and getting lucky. But anyway, get to the point. How does this one rate? To me, this one felt a little bit better in the hand. Just felt better balanced. Felt more like like a fine, expensive writing instrument when you close your eyes and write with it. The problem with it was that it came with a severe case of baby's bottom, like to the point where I thought the ink wasn't feeding through. I thought it was a feed issue. There was just no ink coming out on the paper. Now, I am not intimidated by working on pens. I'm not an expert by any means, but I watch videos, I go slow, and I got this pen running the way I want it to. But, you know, for a pen in this price range, I did get this significantly on sale. I believe because they were discontinuing them, but the retail price of this was, I believe, around $600, and a pen like that shouldn't have baby's bottom. That shouldn't be an issue. Now, if this pen had a nib like the other one, this would definitely be a 3, maybe a 3.5. But with the baby's bottom, you know, I know that doesn't really affect the feel of a pen, but I'm writing up, you know, how a pen rates in with the feel section. So I'm letting that knock this one's feel down a little bit. So again, definitely not a Nina Simone. And again, probably not a James Brown either. Probably a Drake in my feelings, or maybe a James Brown, a 2.5 or 3 stars. Now, I want to make a little side note here. If you go on fountain pen forums, or, you know, Facebook groups, or anywhere people get together to talk about fountain pens, you are going to find that there are a group of people that love to hate on Viscontis. If you bring up Viscontis and you ask, I mean, you just want to see a bomb go off in a forum, talk about how Viscontis are the best writing pens and they're the highest quality pens, and etc. And you'll just have people pouring in, talking about how they got one with a bad nib, the tines were misaligned, there was a burr on it, this or that. I actually have owned 2 more Viscontis. One of them came perfect. One of them came with a burr on the nib so bad that I felt like I was dragging a fork across the page. It was just terrible to write with. And I actually have not been able to get that up to the point of my liking quite yet. I'm still working on it, but it was very smooth in every direction except for one, up and to the left, and in that direction it was just terrible. Couldn't have been worse. And then on this pen, which I showed you already, there was a slight issue with the hook and lock system. And what that is that when I release the hook and lock system, press down, turn, let up, the cap should be loose now. It should be free to fall off. Now if I pull, it comes free. But if I just release and let it hang there, it's stuck on there. I can pull it off, but there's some friction on the inside of the cap. There must be a burr, there must be some little manufacturing snafu, because my other one, you know, hook and release falls right off, as it should be. There's no friction there. There shouldn't be any friction once you release the hook and lock system. Cap should fall right off. But with this pen, which I believe my mom did get at a discount, got on sale, got it for me as a birthday present, still was a very expensive pen. And something like this, you know, this is just something that quality control should catch. So all this is me getting around to saying in a roundabout way that I think Visconti just has some serious quality control issues. There are people who love Viscontis who swear by them. So take this all with a grain of salt. This is one man's opinion. Now I am one man who's read a lot on the internet, and I feel like I'm pretty fair about what I read, and I try to sort out the BS. But it seems like Visconti just has an issue with their quality control. Another example of this, one thing that kind of makes me more inclined to believe this, is I went to their website to do a little research for this video, and let me tell you, that website is kind of a mess, man. I mean, I know they're Italian, English is not their first language, but you could hire a grad student, an English grad student, pay them $100, and in an afternoon they could proofread your website, get it perfect, you know, get it so it should look for a purveyor of luxury goods. You know, when you go to a purveyor of luxury goods, you don't want to read broken English and, you know, sometimes stuff that just doesn't make sense. There were some sentences I just couldn't make sense of. Couldn't tell exactly what they were trying to say. So Visconti does not seem to have a lot of emphasis on quality control, whether it comes to their website, their nibs, their caps, their feeds, whatever. If something can go wrong with a fountain pen, and there are a lot of things that can go wrong with a fountain pen, there's a decent chance that one of those things will go wrong with your Visconti. There's also a decent chance you'll get a good, perfect pen. It happens. You know, it's not like they try to get them all wrong, but just, I don't know, they just don't have the quality control. So I want to end this section with a little, let's see, what's the word? Paraphrased rant from my favorite show, Rick and Morty, in which Morty tells his sister Summer that she needs to get her SHIT together. Now, I want to keep this family friendly, so I'm going to adjust it a little bit, but I want to address Visconti right now and say, Visconti, get your crap together. Get it all together, put it in a sack, and take it to the crap store if you need to, and sell it. Or take it and put it in a crap museum. But get your crap together. Get it together. Get it all together in one spot, bundle it up, get your crap together. All right, that's it. All right, finally, we're going to be looking at bang for your buck. For this, I've got a firecracker for 1 star. I've got a Molotov cocktail for 2 stars. Got the hand grenade for 3. And Rick and Morty, which I like. There's the neutrino bomb from Rick and Morty for 4 stars. So what kind of score do I give this pen on bang for the buck? It is a very expensive pen. So let's just rule out the neutrino bomb right away. It's definitely not going to be 4 out of 4. It could possibly be a 3 out of 4, except for the quality control. When I am telling you about bang for your buck, I'm imagining you spending your money and what you're going to get in return for it. I don't know what you're going to get with Visconti. If you get a perfect pen, you know, and that shouldn't be that hard to do. A lot of companies put out a lot of perfect pens. If you get a perfect pen, bang for the buck is good, because, you know, while this doesn't have the prestige of Mont Blanc in the sense of having the brand recognition, you know, a lot of people, Visconti, they might think it's a motorcycle, they might think it's a handbag, they might think it's a who knows what. It's not necessarily recognizable as a pen brand. But if you think a Mont Blanc turns heads with that little baby white star, pull this baby out anywhere. I mean, not just a boardroom or a restaurant or, you know, somewhere you're being social, but if you're doing PTA at your kid's school, I don't know why you'd bring this to PTA, but you pull this out in front of a bunch of 3rd graders, they're going to go just as crazy for it as a bunch of adults will. This is a pen that is just plain flashy, and it almost is like a little bang for your eyes. It's a flash of explosion. It's a flash of light and color and design. It's a very, very good looking pen. That is clearly its strength. That's why it got 4 out of 4 stars on looks. And if you're gonna pay, you know, maybe as little as 700 or 800 bucks, easily as much as 1,000 for a pen like this, you know, you want a lot of pen for your money, and in the looks department, you are getting a lot of pen. Now, as far as the quality control goes, if you get a pen that it doesn't work right, you can send it off to Visconti and they'll fix it for you. It'll just be like 5 or 6 weeks of waiting and paying for postage and just a hassle that you shouldn't have to deal with a luxury good. So the quality control issue can be overcome. The pens, when they rate well, when they don't have some glaring error, they've got quite nice nibs. A Palladium Dream Touch nib rates very well. Not a super wet pen, so it's on the drier side. So it's a little bit more useful in everyday situations where a normal pen might feather or bleed through. But get to the point, what is the score? Bang for the buck. You know, because of the quality control issues, and because I don't know what you're going to get, and I don't know how confident you are working on your pens and turning them from, you know, fancy looking but unfunctional pieces of junk into fancy looking beautiful works of art, I'm going to give this a 2 out of 4 stars and bang for the buck. I love mine. I hope if you get one, you love yours, but your money could be better spent, perhaps, if you're worried about the quality control. So, all right, finally, should I buy this pen? Yes or no? I'm going to start with the negatives so I can end on a positive. To sum up pretty much everything I just said, quality control is the issue. That's the main negative. The price is high, but that's a given. If you're looking for a Grail pen, if you're looking to pay this much money, then you have come to terms with the price. But the quality control, you know, just why isn't that coming off there? How hard was it to get that right? And some of these nibs, you know, sometimes you don't even need a loop to see the defect. It can be that bad where you can just look at it with the naked eye. So quality control is the issue. There are some places where you can buy from specialized retailers who will take a look at the pen, who will actually ink it before they sell it, make sure it works perfectly. You can buy them used from people who have a good track record and who can tell you this is one of the good Viscontis. But, you know, that quality control issue is always going to be there. Who knows how honest people are going to be when they tell you things like that. So, you know, I don't know what to say. Quality control is an issue. Why you should buy this pen is just because it is freaking gorgeous. It is beautiful. This is like, you know how you compress coal and you make diamonds? Well, they have found a way to compress plastic and make, I don't know, some other element that is just beautiful. Incredible depth, incredible, there's just a lot going on in this pattern and in this pen. Quite beautiful. It's a good writer. If you like a little variation in your writing like I do, then a pen that's a little long might actually be a benefit and not a negative. So it is a very nice writer, with the exception that it is a little bit long for some people perhaps, and feels a tiny bit long, but like I said, not to the point where it's not nice to write with. So nice writer, beautiful pen. I would say Carpe Pluma, buy the pen. It's a great piece to have in your collection. You know, if you're showing off your fountain pens to somebody who doesn't care for pens, their eyes are going to glaze over until you get to this, and then they're going to perk up for just a second because this is just an arresting piece of hardware. So I would say buy the pen. You know, be prepared. Be prepared that you might get a lemon, but you also might get a perfect one. So I hope it works out well for you. I hope if you do get a lemon that you get a quick return and exchange. But anyway, that is my review of the Visconti Divina Elegance. I'm going to get your writing sample with the big boy and Imperial Blue here in a second. I would love if you would like, comment, subscribe below. That's all for me. Bye-bye for now. Jay from Carpe Pluma signing off. All right, later. All right, party people, back for the writing sample with Visconti Divina Elegance. Let's get going. All right. Visconti Divina Elegance in Imperial Blue. With a broad nib that was ground down by yours truly to a medium. We are using Monteverde, Sapphire ink, and that is the second time. Let's see, I skipped right here, both on A's on the upstroke. I wonder if that has something to do with my grind not being perfect, or not being a professional nibmeister. You may think I'm crazy for working on a pen like this, not being a pro, but like I said, I don't like other people touching my pens. So, let's see, HP 32 pound laser jet premium choice paper. Let's see, do some figure eights here. Now as I'm tuning into it, it is feeling slightly more scratchy as I'm going up in this direction on my figure eights. So I'm guessing that those skips were a matter of my grind on my nib. I had never noticed any skipping with this pen before. I do write quite small in my journal, you know, kind of like this size. So there aren't a lot of long strokes up in that direction. So your mileage may vary. I guess we'll see. How about a little bit of backwards writing? Let's see. Oh, wow, that's super scratchy. Now is... All right, now what I'm feeling here is the same type of thing, that when I'm going down or away, I'm getting a decent stroke, but when I try to come up or this direction, oh man, especially up and to the right, I'm just there. It's not writable. It's too scratchy. It's digging into the paper. If you tried to sign your name, you know, on a receipt that was bleeding through or whatever, to use a little backwards writing, you'd rip your receipt up. So backwards writing, not a very good backwards writer. I don't think that my grind would have affected that necessarily, but who knows? Maybe someone will chime in the comments and let me know. How about a little cursive? The quick, brown, fox, jumps, ... over the lazy dog. Let's see, we're going to want to do a wetness test here. Anything else before I do that? I usually like to end on that. You know, the skipping I don't like, but like I said, I didn't have any experience with that in my use of the pen. So maybe only if you're making big, long strokes. I do believe it's on the dry side. Let's test that out. All right. All right, 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4 1000, 5 1000, 6 1000, 7 1000, 8 1000, 9 1000, 10 1000. Yeah, almost nothing on that second one. Let's see about immediate right away here. Put a line down. All right, now if I'm writing normally, if I want to write my name is Jay. All right, so if you're left-handed, I mean, I was trying to smear it there, though, so maybe that's not the best sign. But it is, it's not going to be as wet as the Mont Blanc was, according to my test, but it's a decently wet pen. So we got our backwards writing, we got our figure eights, we got our ink, our paper, our pen, our cursive, our wetness test. I would say that is a writing sample. All right, thanks a lot, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.